there's a lot going on with the price. I actually have notes for this one, so I'm gonna use them. So first off, the cost of the console, like that's price point number one. We thought they were gonna put it at the end of the direct, they didn't. When they didn't do that, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is gonna be 500, pretty much, but not. It's $449 in the U.S.
plus tax.
Yeah, plus tax. Obviously, there's tax. And then $499 for the Mario Kart bundle, which is the way to go if you plan to get Mario Kart, because Mario Kart's $80.
Yeah,
so we'll get to that. So in the UK, it's actually £395 for the base model and £429 for the Mario Kart bundle. They have the same two SKUs are in all the countries they're going in. Japan's actually a little weird. They technically have 3 SKUs. They have the Mario Kart bundle, they have the normal one, and then they have a Japanese language only, so a non-region free, so a region locked console for $130 less than their region free console is about $470 US. It's $130. They're around like $330 on their region locked one. Now I don't know why Nintendo's doing that just in Japan. It's only Japan that has a one region locked system. The only thing I can think of is maybe they realize that there's a huge percentage of imports of games to Japan, or people buying them on other eShops, and they want to promote buying in Japan because of the exchange rates. So the only thing I can think of is that they're figure, hey, yeah, maybe we might even lose money on this system, but then we'll make it back on people having to buy games in Japan to use on the system. So, so time to learn Japanese. That's right. You want to learn Japanese and only play games out of Japan? There's actually a really, really cheap option for Switch 2 out there. It exists. Good luck on trying to get it imported. I'm sure it is possible, but good luck. So those are the console prices. Obviously, there's some other price points out there for other territories. Needless to say, it is basically cheapest in the US, like it usually is. More expensive everywhere else, even with taxes included. Still cheaper here. Japan is next. With the cheap, they have the absolute cheapest system. But basically, it's US and Japan, the two major territories that have the cheapest ones, and everyone else just kind of got more expensive, and it got worse and worse and worse. Like it's like over $600 in Canada.
Yeah.
I've heard some. I saw some preliminary listings in Brazil. I don't even want to read off because it pisses me off because it's like over $1,000. So in the end, we'll just focus on what matters, I guess. We all live in the US, so we'll focus on the US pricing.
Yeah.
Are we good with the pricing of Switch 2? Just the system itself?
Well, the price for the system, I'm good with. I'm okay with, because of the value it offered. We're now into the current generation, 4K, docked mode, 120 frames per second. We got 60 in 4K, 120 in HD, 1080 HP. So at least when it comes to the hardware, I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that because we were talking about that maybe $399. 449. It's been talked about before, so it was expected within $399 to $449. So short answer, yeah, I'm okay with it.
All right, Eric, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I called it in my bingo.
Yeah, he did say 440. He was expecting
the
450.
crappy thing is it wasn't announced in the direct, so I don't think it counts.
Yeah,
bastards. No,
pay attention to those direct bingos, guys. The news after is not part of it.
You still get our respect though for getting that.
Yeah,
right.
you still get the respect for that.
That's awesome.
Do I get respect for June 5th because I said June 6th?
Yeah, I mean it's close.
Well, I was really close.
I mean, it's
that was
a day.
nice guess.
I will say I was gonna do June 5th, but I was like, I think they'll just go with the traditional Friday. So I'll go. So it was originally June 5th on my card. I'm like, they might do Friday instead, so I'm gonna do June 6th.
But you said first week of June, so that counts.
Yeah. There we go. No, I don't get it on my bingo card. I might give myself credit. It wasn't the exact date, even though I had the right thought process.
I don't know. With all the stuff that had been rumored and stuff like that, I'm like, God, it's gonna be more if they actually deliver on what these rumors are. It's gonna be probably that 450, a little bit more than what we're thinking. So.
Okay. All right, Gamebird.
I am totally cool with this price point. I think given everything that we saw, what the Switch 2 is, what the Switch 2 does, I mean, the visuals we saw today, in my opinion, were beautiful. The system has games like Cyberpunk running beautifully on it.
Yeah.
But that being said, this is just like a gut instinct of mine. I feel like it probably pained Nintendo to price the Switch 2 $150 more than the Switch 1.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they were hoping to have a $400 price line. And I say that with no outside knowledge or hearing anything from the Nintendo side. That's just like my own personal feeling. Knowing how they do their pricing throughout the years,
Makes
each
sense.
generation. I'm sure that was a tough call for them doing the 150 more, because people are going to talk about it. People, Nintendo fans are used to those more entry level price points. But as far as the value and the price, I'm cool with it. I mean, they could have charged me $499, and I still think it would have been way worth the price. I think past that $499 mark is when I would have been like, $550 seems a little bit high, but
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Can I add to that a little bit? Because I actually agree with what you're saying.
Sure.
Nintendo's not that kind of company that to bring those prices up, and I think it has to do with a lot of world things that are happening around, right? And to be honest, it is a little high. It is a little high for the average consumer, average parent who has 3 to 4 kids who they all need a Nintendo Switch. They probably have to wait for maybe this confirms that we're getting a lighter version at a later time.
Yeah, but the crazy thing about the lighter version is like, how cheap are they really going to go with it?
$100, $299,
$350. If we're 300, if we're lucky, right? $299.
Yeah,
that's still like $100 more than
it is. It is. And I was saying in my video that yes, we have inflation, but not all the around the United States has seen their pay go up to match inflation. We're still kind of on the way up there. Like I can speak for teachers, right? My wife is a teacher. We've been in education for over 30 years, and so the an average pay for a teacher starting up is 48,000 a year here in Florida. That was back in 2017, the same exact pay before inflation. So nothing has changed in regards to pay, right? And I'm pretty sure that goes across the board. Inflation is it's a big thing, but you feel it more just because you're not seeing your pay go up to match and inflation. And when I worked for Apple until just a year and a half ago, they were still trying to bring our salary up so that it kind of keeps up with inflation, and they were not there yet. So that's another thing to factor in. It's gonna be tough for a lot of families to at least get 2, which is like almost $1,000.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, what's up, Tucker?
What's up, dude?
Hi. I muted Twitter so I wouldn't get spoiled over the last few days, and I missed the restream invite, so that's why I'm a couple minutes late.
Okay. It's all right. So we're talking right now just about the price of the system itself. How are you feeling?
Sure. That is some crazy sticker shock. Well, actually, no. It's more crazy sticker shock is mostly for the games. $450, I think, in terms of the tech, feels a lot more reasonable. I mean, they showed so many different elements to the dock being improved, and internally built microphone, and obviously both of the Joy-Con are mice. Like the tech is actually significantly stronger. And so I think that the price makes sense for that. It's also still cheaper than its competitors, especially also in the handheld market. If you're going to get something comparable in terms of power, a Steam Deck is going to be more expensive. So $450, I think, is the bar, but it is fine. It's not ideal. I mean, I love 400, but that I'm okay with. It's the games jumping up so much.
Well, we'll talk about the games in a minute.
Of course. Yeah. But that makes sense. It's like the tech seems to be worth that price.
Yeah.
Okay. Thunderstash.
Yeah, so I'm good on the price of the console. As we've all talked about, it's some of the other things that we'll get into later, but I think the Switch was a really good deal. The Switch one.
Yeah.
It really was. And Nintendo probably could have charged more money for it, especially with the way it's sold. So I think if you take that also into consideration when you look at the price jump to Switch 2, And if you're being like real with yourself, it's not as big of a jump. I think they could have charged probably $50 more for Switch, no problem. So really, then if you look at it that way, it's not as big of a jump. We all, kind of collectively, I think as a community, right? Not just here locally with our podcast, but as a gaming community, kind of thought that $400 felt like the sweet spot. But we all also kind of said that it could be 500, and if it was, it would have to include Mario Kart.
Yeah, exactly what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah, that was said many times. Yeah.
Yeah, we've all said that.
Yeah.
And so here we are. It includes Mario Kart for $500, which,
Mm-hmm.
again, it looks like that's a really great way to go. Otherwise, you're paying $80 for it. And again, we'll get into that with the software, but I gotta wonder this too, with specifically that launch title, what that comes with the Switch 2 is that what does the $80 get us? There's a direct in 2 weeks
Yeah.
for Mario Kart. And I
Yeah.
think that's all going to be detailed out. And I think when that direct is over, I really believe that we're all going to walk away saying, yeah, that's worth $80 with everything it's coming with.
Mhm.
Sure.
We don't even know
We
if
paid
it's gonna
60 for a
include.
port.
Yeah, it could include built-in DLC. We don't know. Nintendo could say we're going to add future track packs with that
I mean,
price point.
Free quote unquote free updates.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah,
Because again, this is supposed to be
that's possible.
an evergreen title, what we've talked about. That's why we predict it, Mario Kart, as the launch title, because it's going to be the first truly evergreen Mario Kart, meaning it's coming out on day one. This has never happened on any Nintendo console.
Ever.
So I look at it that way, and that, hey, let's not jump the gun. Let's give Nintendo the opportunity, right, to show us why it's worth this price. And I think by letting us know in the Switch 2 Direct that, hey, we have a Direct coming in 2 weeks for just Mario Kart, is their way of saying, like, don't jump the gun. Hold on a second. Well,
Yeah.
let us cook a little bit and listen to what we got to say. So I think there's more to come.
You know what gets me upset about what you're saying? Gets me very upset.
What?
Thunder, that you're right.
Oh.
Because the thing is that when I was looking at Mario Kart and I was looking, my God, this game looks so incredible. Everything they added to it is okay. It has a traditional Mario Kart, of course. You can do tricks. You can do all those railing things. You can
Parkour, man.
Yeah,
We're doing parkour.
Yeah, now you
in carts.
There's like
open world
Titanfall
Mario
and
Kart.
Sonic in there.
It never went through my head. Open world Mario Kart, you can just drive off and forget about the race and do whatever you want, or just do that, what do you call that? The tour or whatever? What do they call it?
The free roam.
Yeah, free roam. I'm like, this game is incredible, and just looking at the amount of work that goes into that game and how much polished it looked than the other one, I'm like, it's worth it. And I think the fact that it's worth it is because now they allow you to share the game with your people inside the house, right?
Is that one confirmed?
So I want to pause there. We're getting a little
Okay.
too much into the software side. And I understand Mario Kart coming up because it's part of the hardware.
Yeah.
So just to get some thoughts in here. I thought the price point, a little high. I also think they set it in a way where they weren't going to have to pull a PlayStation. For those who don't know, the yen has been down and had really bad conversion rates now for over a year. And it was predicted to bounce back at the end of last year, and it never actually did. And for those who don't know, that's part of the reason why PlayStation's all digital went up $50. Originally it was $400. Now it's $450. They raised the price. Nintendo didn't want to be in a situation to raise prices in the middle of a generation. So I feel like they set the price point where they did, knowing we're pretty confident we can hold this price for the next 8 years. I know it sounds crazy, but look, they didn't drop the MSRP of Switch, did they? Not yet, anyways. Maybe this holiday, but and I try to also remind people that there's a lot of comments like, $450 prices it out of families. Well, the launch audience isn't families anyways. So let's just start there. This year one audience is usually not families. It's the hardcore.
Yeah. And now we
Mhm.
have the Switch as the budget option. There's so many
Yeah.
of them out there,
Yep.
and they're still going to be
Sure.
selling them. And it's possible, as you said, that they lower the general price of the Switch 1 and make that the budget option,
Sure.
much like new Nintendo 3DS or 2DS,
Sure.
2DS were. Yeah, something like that.
But when we talk about budget options, it can't play the Switch 2 games.
Yep.
So, there's some interesting facets with this, though, that we'll get into in the software section. But when I just look at it, I always try to remind myself, well, you know what? In 2 years, could be as soon as actually next holiday, but I'm thinking more like 2028. They will have, or 2027, sorry. There'll be a light version of the system.
Yeah.
There's going to be a smaller, more pocketable, can't disconnect Joy-Con version of the system. It's going to happen. And that's going to be cheaper. It's going to be at least 350, might hit 300. That would be the hope, that it can get it down to 300. That's going to be the system that's going to be more for the kids, right? To get the kids with, because the Joy-Cons don't disconnect, and it's just cheaper, right? It's just cheaper all around. We know they're going to do that. And there's going to be an OLED or a Pro model or whatever 4 years from now, right? That's going to happen. One of the two, if not all in one, where it's OLED and a Pro model, and that one's $50 to $100 more even than now, which sounds crazy. But then if it's significantly better, cool. People will pay it. I mean, look, even if it's just an OLED, it's probably only going to be $50 more then, right? And people are already accustomed to that $499 price point, because that's one of the SKUs is $499, and it comes bundled with a game. Now, I do think that they should have still bundled the game at $450, but not Mario Kart.
Yeah. Well,
Nintendo Switch 2, Welcome Tour. That's literally the name of a game that we have to pay for.
That's crazy.
And by the way, we have pricing. We don't know the official pricing here, but it's roughly $6 US in Japan to buy the game. So it's literally a $5 to $10 game.
Yeah.
Why isn't it just included?
It should be included.
It should be on both, to be honest, but at least put it on the 450 model so they have something when they buy the system. And then you can just Mario Kart's to pack it on the more expensive one.
Yeah, not bundling that in with the SKU made me feel like, who's going to buy this? And I'm sure there's going to be some, kids who pick it up. I'm sure,
because it's only like $5. It's going to sell million just because it's so damn cheap. But
well, and then there it is. This is also seems to be profit Nintendo. They are very much saying we are now one of the premium options. We used to be the budget, family friendly in comparison to our competitors, but we are doing 4K. We are doing all of these things that are keeping us on par technology wise and profit wise. They're like, we need to make sure our stuff feels like a premium option. Even with the $5 game, it's like, why didn't you include it? I don't know, because we can make millions of dollars on this. That's profit Nintendo.
I mean, I look at the current Switches. Like this is a launch Switch. We got obviously the Lite over here. We got the OLED, and even though the OLED felt premium, I got to admit, it kind of feels like a toy compared to this. So,
look at this guy.
but I'm serious. Like holding this thing, these feel like a toy in comparison. Like, this is such like a cool. I feel like Nintendo is in this situation where, they are okay being the Apple of gaming, and we want to now offer a premium offer. We will bring our cheaper offer later. And we actually did something really, really cool that might offset some of these price difficulties for families.
Yeah.
And that's where we get into the software, right? So
I have a question because I haven't seen, obviously, I've seen the software side of this everywhere today, especially in terms of the new Mario Kart World. I haven't seen, although I did have a busy day, I haven't seen too much about the price of the console. Is this something that's been an issue today for people? Because I think we've all kind of agreed the price seems fine.
People are mad about the price are usually from other countries. Canada, it's super expensive.
Sure. That I understand.
Europe is super expensive. It's really, really expensive in some countries.
I don't know. I think based on what I saw, if I think 500 would be the cap, but if they had said it was 499, I would have been like, well, it makes sense. Like, this looks fantastic.
Well, as I said, when I hold the damn thing, this feels so much more premium. Like seriously, it's a truly I kind of get it. And
Sure.
the thing that made me okay with the console price, this touches on software a little bit, not the pricing, is you got Stash. Do you remember your reactions were big to this too during the direct when they kept announcing 4K 60 here, 4K 60 there, 1440, 120 in this game, 1080, 120 in this game. We were both just like, oh my God. Yeah, of course it's 450. Of course. I mean, it just announced more 4K 60 games than it probably exist on PS5. That's
and I play PS5 like every day. So
Yeah.
I know firsthand.
Now we all know it's because of the DLSS, but what's crazy is they streamed everything in 4K, right? So
They did, yeah.
obviously they were pushing the 4K stuff, and I didn't notice any major ghosting issues or any major issues that people have had with DLSS over the years. It just looked clean.
Sure.
That's scary. We're
definitely going to get a good example of that tomorrow, or we have hours worth of footage over the next few days.
Yep.
4 hours,
footage.
7 hours in 2 days. So yeah, I feel like we've been talking about how DLS is magic, but we've been kind of like that's kind of a hyperbole term to say it's magic.
I mean,
the results are speaking for themselves.
I say it was magic from day one.
Yeah,
you know that.
Oh,
hey, let me bring this up too. Just about Mario Kart again, since it's the back-end title. Obviously, when the Switch 2 first trailer dropped, everyone seemed to be so concerned about how Mario Kart looked. And I kept saying, I think we did too, that they literally just slapped on some gameplay.
Yeah.
And it was not intended to look good. But you can't show off a new console without putting something on the screen. Yeah. We know Mario Kart's coming, so they threw Mario Kart on there. Now, after we've seen it, nobody's talking about that now, obviously. Everyone's like, the new Mario Kart looks amazing. It's like, yeah. So again, everyone was worrying so much about nothing, but everyone made it a huge deal, which is like the internet in a nutshell.
Yeah. I think it's a vocal minority. It's just like it's a small group of people who are insanely loud and just won't let go.
And the thing about Mario Kart with that is that what we saw today, what we didn't see in the initial Switch 2 reveal trailer was ambition. Of course, 24 players was like sort of teased in that initial footage, but it did look like it was just driving down a track. Now we see open world, all this extra movement, all these crazy animations. And so you're not thinking, how's the resolution? You're thinking, how did they do all this? This is so different from the first one because it's an ambitious Mario Kart, which is not really been true for the rest of the series. I mean, it's a very iterative series on the whole, right? They just add things and it looks a little bit better each time. This is an expansive, ambitious, next level Mario Kart that, if that comes with some lower frame rate animations in the background or lower resolution at times, because you have 24 people on one track, you're not thinking about that. You're like, there's 24 people on this track.
I think what they did. I think what they did with that was really brilliant because they did a little tease. We got a small snippet of it. Yeah, gave a lot of questions, like you said. The 24 players, people were able to identify quickly, and then that was it. And so it was like, we're gonna tease Mario Kart. Everyone loves Mario Kart. Everyone knows Mario Kart. But then Switch 2, you don't know this Mario Kart. And what it did was it got hype for most. Obviously, some were complaining about it. Got hype for most. Cool, we're getting a Mario Kart. It's probably the launch game. And then they showed it again and blew your minds. It was I think that was a amazing, not necessarily a bait and switch, but kind of teasing you. You think you know what this is, and then blowing your mind with, nope, you had no idea what this was.
Reminds me of Odyssey. Remember what they did first and second trailer for Super Mario Odyssey? You think you know what a 3D Mario is? Oh, what about like a capture mechanic? What the heck are you talking about?
So let's swing her back to the prices now, because we have a whole topic for all the games. So obviously, game pricing is where a lot of the pissed off attitudes coming from. Like, yes, some people are upset about the game console price, absolutely, but I think most people are willing to stomach it because it was also talked about by analysts that it could be as high as 500. And so falling in at 450, some people are willing to swallow that. Obviously, people hope that prices get reduced over time. Probably not going to happen, as we saw with the Switch era. But that's not what really upset a lot of people. It was the price of the games. So it starts. There's this confusing thing that's been getting shared around, and Tom Henderson, who, by the way, was totally right about the pre-orders and everything else, put a really bad headline
Very bad.
on his website that's actually inaccurate.
Very misleading.
It's misleading because it has a dollar sign saying that that Mario Kart 8 or Switch 2 games, $90 physical, $80 digital, except they're not. They're 90 euros and 80 euros digital. So it's not US pricing. We know it's not US pricing because you can already go and see the pre-orders up on all the different places. You can't pre-order yet, but all the links are up. Nintendo has it on their website. Is literally MSRP is $79.99 for Mario Kart. So it's one of those that that is not the pricing in the US. The pricing is not the same it is in Europe. We don't even know if games are $10 cheaper here for digital or not. They didn't announce any digital pricing here.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be the same as on Switch 1. It was the same. But bottom line is 90 for physical is not a thing, at least not yet. In the
Terrifying idea.
I said it's a thing in Europe, but it's not a thing here. So technically it's $79.99, which people still, even at that price, are pretty pissed off about it. But it's not even just like the Mario Kart world, right? So obviously, the Donkey Kong game comes in at the $69.99, which I don't see a lot of people talking about because I feel like people expected $70.
Yeah.
After Tears of the Kingdom, it was kind of this expectation that they might bump it to $70. But why is that not $80? Is it a lesser game? We can get into that later. But then they did this, and I have to share this. Shout out to Wario64, who's been on top of a lot of this stuff today. We got some pricings for some of the other stuff.
Yep. Oh, there's some heaters in here, and not in a good way.
We'll do this like this because it looked a little better. So they'll Switch 2 edition games, right? If you have to buy them brand new, you don't own the Switch 1. If you own the Switch 1, you could pay some sort of nominal fee that we still don't know. Based on this, we think it might be $20, but we don't know. It's $11 in Japan. Japan has all the pricing, but we don't have all the pricing here for some reason. So based on the pricing here for the full one, you would assume $20 for the upgrades or free with NSO. But and by the way, free with NSO, it says select Nintendo Switch 2 edition games.
Yeah.
So far, it seems all the ones that are here are part of that select.
Oh, really? Even Kirby?
Yeah. When you go look at the page where it announces that these games are, it only talks about Zelda, but in the picture it includes Kirby and it includes the other one too, Jamboree.
That's an amazing incentive for Nintendo Switch Online. And also means that they will raise that price at some point.
It also says that because it says select games, it also means not all Switch 2 versions of games are probably going to be in this thing. But
There's a lot of third-party Switch 2 edition games. A lot.
Yeah, like that. That might not be able to do that with NSO, right? Because the third parties don't get a cut off NSO. So when you look at this, the big thing is $80 for Switch 2 versions of Switch 1 games. That has got people riled the fuck up. $20 more expensive. And some of the games, like Tears of the Kingdom here, Breath of the Wild is only $70. We still don't know if that includes the DLC or not. It doesn't say anywhere on any website whether it includes the DLC or not.
Oh, man.
So, that's a question they better answer on Treehouse tomorrow. Does it include the DLC or not? With the DLC and the 4K upgrades and the Zelda app, I can be like, okay, it's still, this is a game that came out 8 years ago. It should probably just be $59.99. But I can at least, if you're trying to justify the cost of the DLC thrown in.
Yeah.
But then you see Tears of the Kingdom, going up $10. And you might go, well, that doesn't sound that bad. I'm like, yeah, but come on. No one's even buying the game anymore. It's not on the top sellers. Why are we just going to suddenly charge $80 for brand new copies? Mario Party Jamboree. And I get there's new content in Jamboree. There's new content in Kirby.
Yeah.
So that's probably Nintendo's justification for some of it. And the app is like the big thing with the achievements and everything they're doing, and all the stats and stuff. The helper, the new voice acting, that all costs some money to make all that. So I get it. But I have to ask, what are we thinking with the game pricing situation? And let's start with Tucker, because I can tell you're not happy.
So, are we talking just in general or for these Switch 2 editions particularly? Because I think there's different conversations.
All together. You can go through the whole gambit.
I think the craziest part is the jumping the shark in terms of price. They had one $70 game. It was Tears of the Kingdom. We were like, okay, We can see it. You got me. And now Mario Kart looks amazing. Jumping the shark straight to 80 that's the sticker shock. Is 70 people have now been accustomed to with these bigger budget games from Ubisoft and from Sony and from Microsoft. We're paying $70 for a lot of games. No one's charging 80. I don't think I've seen a base level game cost that much since you see those ads of Super Nintendo games where they are fluctuating at all sorts of prices. When was the last time that happened?
They saw the rumors of GTA 6 being 100, and they're like, "Hey, all right, we're going to look cheap compared to you."
Yeah, and I do think that it sets a precedent. I would not be surprised if Ghost of Yotei, one of the big Sony games, is now $80 when it launches later this year because Nintendo has set the precedent, right? And that is, as someone who plays a lot of games and likes to explore the variety of games, that's scary.
I'll say this: I don't think Sony's going to raise the prices this year. They
Sure.
got to see it be successful first.
Good point.
If people are buying the games in the millions at 80, then Sony will be like, "Oh, we could probably get away with 80."
Yeah, that's a great
Do
point.
do any of us here think that Mario Kart's not going to be successful at $80? Like, let's be honest.
I also have to say this. I just have to throw this out there. Technically, at least according to Google's AI and according to my brain, this is the first console of the 10th generation.
That's a good point.
All
No,
10th gen
that is
games
true.
can be $80 from everyone.
Yeah.
That might just be the price.
Rumors that Xbox has got new hardware next year, and so we might see them jump into that with the start of their next generation next year.
Yeah, and a partner hardware later this year. Probably
Yeah.
It looks like the ROG Ally, the new one, is probably using Windows or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, Mario Kart, obviously, price wise, but we'll get into what we think about the games and stuff later. But obviously, $80 for Mario Kart, I think, look, it's a lot. I think most people are probably just going to get it with the bundle. It's the clear, obvious thing to do. You buy a Switch and immediately you have one of the best games.
Mhm.
Makes a lot of sense. And it's cheaper.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper.
Yeah. If digital's 80, that's $30 off. If it's 70, it's still $20 off.
Yeah.
Either way, it feels like a good deal and a natural thing to do. And obviously serves Nintendo seemingly trying to push more digital stuff. And we obviously, I think they're overcharging for the Switch One games, and it's really weird to talk about it because personally, all these games they showed, they're going to be part of NSO. I already have NSO and I already own them, so I'm not going to pay anything for these upgrades.
Good point.
Anything more than I've already paid. I've prepaid NSO for like the next 3 years, so like this literally is going to cost me nothing, and I feel like that's the one thing about the prices of those. Like, how many people are actually going to buy those games brand new? Because they're games that really aren't selling anymore. I think it's just there. Like they have to have an option for people who maybe didn't own a Switch One to get it all at once. But that's still, I mean, to me, this just serves the precedent. They're trying to set $80. No, it's not just Mario Kart. You want these best of the best Switch One games that are upgraded for Switch 2? Yeah, it's $80 if you want to buy it brand new. Where 80 is the standard. We believe these games have not lost value. And I know value's in the eye of the beholder. Lots of people think games are less valuable the longer they're out. Nintendo has been very clear the entire Switch generation and pretty much always, a good game's a good game. It doesn't lose value just because it's old.
Yeah.
It's a fair argument. I understand it. It's also because people keep buying it. That's the reality. You've literally stopped making physical copies of Fire Emblem Engage because no one was buying it. So, like, I'm just saying that, like, Nintendo, that you're just doing it because we pay for it. If we didn't pay for it, then you wouldn't do it. One thing I want to point out, and we have to get to everyone's thoughts, but I want to throw this out there in the ether, is last week we had a direct. Nintendo introduced digital game sharing. And it's funny, I see people complaining about digital game sharing today. I'm like, what are you talking about? You can't even do this on the other systems. You can have 2 systems with games. You can't just share it with 8. I can share my games with 8 different people on my account. Okay? I feel like Nintendo announced it back then to get ahead of this backlash. Because they're like, hey, look, we might be pushing digital more. However, just like you can share your physical games, because some people might go, hey, I'll just buy a physical copy so I can share it with my kids, right? Or you literally just have the digital sharing, and you could have one person buy all the games and then just digitally share games out and loan them out to family and friends and stuff. I feel like this was Nintendo trying to get ahead with that method. And there's one other point I was going to bring up, but maybe someone else will, so I'll toss it around. Eric, what are we thinking on these game prices?
I don't know. You and I kind of discussed a little bit beforehand, and I felt they were kind of a little arbitrary and stuff like that. It just feels like they just pulled games out of a hat and was like, this is $80. Why not? That's just kind of what I feel. I understand, like, I know I said Kirby when we were discussing, Kirby wasn't, that massive of a, franchise. But so to be an extra $20 on that is, golly, there better be a good amount of added content.
Yeah.
I know we had a big debate over this because he didn't even think Kirby was worth 60. And I'm just like, Kirby and the Forgotten Land sold like 7 million copies. It's like as big as Zelda was before Breath of the Wild.
But
that was the game that did it, though.
Correct. That is what then set the possibility of a new price. It probably shouldn't have been priced at this going into it. That game allows it to be possibly.
But what about all the other Kirby games that were also $60?
They didn't sell as well.
They sold 2 to 3 million like they sold every single time. They kept making them.
Donkey Kong is sold in that same exact area, and this one's 70.
Sure. And Kirby has outsold every Donkey Kong game, and so it's 80.
And the Switch 2 original Kirby game is going to be $70.
What's
or
the
80?
what's the best Donkey Kong game? And not counting the arcade. Obviously.
Returns.
I mean,
It's Returns.
Is it Returns?
Yeah. Unless the Switch port of Tropical Freeze has bumped that one total up above. But Returns sold so well, and Wii
was 5.5, 5.25.
Okay.
Returns is 6.5.
6.5. Okay. So that's probably the top point. So I was just asking, because Kirby, I don't think it should be $80. I want to be very clear. I don't think any of these Switch One things should be 80. If anything, they should just still be 60. Brand new.
I mean, again, I can understand the 70 with the added content because you get the added content. There better be a whole assload of added content for $20.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a phenomenal game. It's one of my favorite games on Switch. Again, it's just the price points before that just doesn't justify an automatic $20 jump in price is what I'm kind of going for.
Sure. I mean, I know why they're doing it. When they drop Kirby and the Forgotten Land 2, it's going to be $80.
Yeah, of course it will.
That's why they're doing it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, as for everything else, I mean, Donkey Kong, the brand new game, looks freaking amazing. $70. Okay, sure. It's just I guess
the funny thing is, you won't have to pay for any of it.
No, I know.
That's the thing. We're complaining about things that do any of us not own the games and have NSO?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like none of us, I think, are actually going to be paying these prices for any of this.
No. I get it, but it's just a precedent of the thing.
Unless you're collector brained and you want the Switch 2 copies of all of these with their god awful box art of all the text. But I mean, that's something that's going to be real tough.
The stash might be going all digital. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll talk about it, I'm sure, tonight.
Yeah. Mike, what are you thinking?
Thinking is expensive. But I understand why they're going the route they're going, and a lot of it doesn't really have to. Part of it has to do with the development cycle, right? The games cost more to make, the more time to cook. But one of the reasons why I was going to mention, you mentioned, and I think it has to do with the borrowing of digital games within accounts, right? I can lend my Mario Kart version to my daughter for 14 days digitally, so she can play it and just pass it or or do whatever
Not
you want.
only that, they still own Switch. They can play multiplayer with you.
Yeah, and then also, and again, they own it. We only need one copy per household now.
Yeah. Welcome
up
back,
to-
DS Download Play.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That also kind of, I was hoping someone to bring it up because that kind of counterbalances some of the costs, because you might be like, it's $80 for Mario Kart, but you only need one copy for the home.
Exactly. So they know they're not going to sell as many copies as Mario Kart did on Nintendo Switch. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's a big deal for them. I'd rather they keep the prices low and then give us a way how to buy and sell digital games. You know, rather than borrow digital games. So I mean, it's the way that everything is going up. You know, everything prices are meant to go up. It's just a shocker for us because it happened so suddenly and from 59 to 80. You know, instead of gradually. Although we did get one game at $70 for the Tears of the Kingdom. I didn't know about the expansion pack. I was asleep. I was kind of asleep. But I'm having an NSO that you don't have to upgrade your Switch.
Yeah. The ones that launch, we don't obviously know long haul because they said select.
My guess is it'll be first party.
So Tears of the Kingdom, if I wanted to get the Switch to
Yeah, I'm guessing all the first party ones will probably be included with NSO, but the third party ones won't be.
So as long as I have NSO plus expansion pack, I get the free upgrade too.
Well, they
Yeah.
said, they clearly said it was for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the
Yeah.
Kingdom only.
Oh, so
Those are the ones that they were talking about. But the image had the other ones on their website. And I'm like,
Yeah, make it
we
clear.
don't know. This is something that probably clarified on Treehouse. I'm assuming
yeah.
Nintendo's
least
probably
know we
gathering a
got
lot
two.
of feedback today, so they can address some of it on Treehouse. I'm
Also
sure.
important to note, there are additional Switch 2 edition games that were not talked about in the Direct. Many of them, in fact, including
Hold on.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and Super Mario Odyssey, and all of these are
Hold
free.
on.
Link's
These are-
Awakening, that'll probably run
No,
at
to be
60
fair,
FPS.
those are actually not Switch 2 edition games.
Oh, there's like a
Yeah.
patch where they run.
Yeah, that's just a patch.
Yeah.
Okay, my
better
bad.
perform.
Yeah, okay.
It's they have performance updates for Switch
Yeah, the
2.
performance
ones.
updates, but those are technically not Switch 2 editions. They clearly think Switch 2 editions are not just, hey, you
Oh, sure, I
run
see.
more stable and you're slightly higher frame rate. They feel like there has to be more to it. And even the Zelda one, like, oh, but it's just 4K 60. No, it's faster loader times, and it's that application with all the stats and the achievements. So like I think they feel like to make it a Switch 2 edition, they have to add more than just frame rate and resolution. They're doing the frame
Right.
rate and resolution for free.
Interesting.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild to me looked like a remastered made for Switch 2 when I saw the visuals because it looked great. It looked it looked very good. And then to answer the other question, when it comes to these games, I think that they're not thinking about Nintendo Switch users. They're thinking about now that we have a console that's on par with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, which it is, right? With all these games coming to Switch, Elden Ring, I'm having a brain fart here. All these updated games coming to Switch. They're thinking about all of the other users from Xbox and PlayStation who want to come over to have those games on handheld, right? And like you said, Nate, the system looks and feels premium, right? It's not as bulky as the Steam Deck. It's not as pricey as the PC consoles that we have out there. And so getting a Nintendo Switch with that type of capability at $449 is a steal for PC gamers, and so having access to these games for the first time like that. So I'm guessing what they're doing is thinking about my mic is level is a lot quieter than
I can fix the mic. You're fine.
okay. Yeah, they're not thinking about us. They're thinking about the new wave of fans that are coming over to Switch to play all these other games. I'm still waiting for Spider-Man. Although that's PlayStation. I'm like, they could jump into and just give us Spider-Man. At least Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales bring in a Switch 2 and there's more money.
I don't think that's gonna happen, but
And
it'd be nice if PlayStation would do it.
putting it out there, man. I'm putting it out there. So
No, so I want to be very clear, because a lot of people think that I'm been in Nintendo defense mode today, and I've been in defense mode about some of the misinformation, like the fact that people saying, "Oh my God, games are $90 in the U.S." No, they're not. Okay, it's 80. Let's get it right. I'm not saying that that's a good price, but I'm just saying that's what they're charging. So to be clear, I think this is kind of insane, the price jump. And I'd say I'm shocked. I'm shocked that Nintendo is leading the price jump.
Definitely.
I had a gut feeling PS6 when it came, games are going to jump to 80. I kind of had this gut feeling. Inflation's been going crazy. Look at the price of everything in the US going up. Everything's going up. Gaming wasn't going to do another $70 for 20 years. It just
Now
wasn't going to happen.
You see, now we can compare Nintendo to Apple.
Yeah. So it's that Nintendo's leading the charge on it. I thought someone else would make the leap first. I thought Nintendo would finally come up to 70 for most of their games, and a few of them would still be 60, but a lot of them at 70. And you know what? I've been paying 70 on other platforms. It's fine. At 80, I know it's just $10, and I'll say if there's a game I want to play, that extra 10 is not really going to stop me from buying it, because I pretty well researched on my games before I buy it. I know if I'm going to enjoy it for the most part. So the thing is like $80 is a lot, and I think Mario Kart itself will probably be worth it. I don't know. Based on what we've seen, it has a lot of really cool ideas, but we haven't actually seen a lot of it.
Mhm.
But we have a whole direct coming in 2 weeks for it, right? So,
Mhm.
and they're going to play it on Treehouse. It was announced in
Yeah.
one of the Treehouse games. So you know
And
what?
we'll have hands-on impressions.
Hands-on too.
tomorrow.
I assume the hands-on will include Mario Kart because it's a launch game. So it's
Yes, it will.
It's the de facto launch game. It is the system seller at launch. So we're going to have a lot more information on this over the course of this month, and that might be like, okay, well, they're actually doing quite a bit in this compared to anything that happened in Mario Kart 8. Like, yeah, okay, this makes sense that it's more expensive. But my curiosity is if in Treehouse, can they find? Here's the thing: Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are going to be in Treehouse.
Yeah.
These games better they better show them side by side with the Switch version, and they better look significantly better for me to really be comfortable with that $80 price point. And even then, I don't. If there's ray tracing, maybe that they didn't talk about yet, I don't. That's the thing. Like those are the games that I'm like. Those are the ones that I feel like they got to find a way to justify the pricing on what they're doing. And then I'd also like them to briefly touch upon it. I don't know if they will. Why, if 80 is the new standard, then why is the new 3D DK game 70?
That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's insane. I didn't get that. And that game looks amazing. You know?
Yeah. So like, and that game looks incredible.
Well, the question then becomes if 80 is actually the standard or if it's 70 for most games and then 80 are for the ones that are like the real high profile ones.
Well, yeah, 80 being for your evergreen games, I totally get. They'll sell over a long period of time. So that would mean like Animal Crossing would probably be 80. Smash Bros would probably be 80. 3D Mario, the next 3D Zelda game, if they think that's going to be evergreen.
$80 Pokemon games, they're coming. They're coming.
$80
Buckle down
Pokemon.
your fences.
Legends, EA, don't
for
be
two
shocked.
copies. For two copies, you're gonna pay
Don't be
$160.
shocked. New
for
edition Legends EA is $80.
I think it'll still sell.
And you know what's interesting? Just for Pokemon games on 3DS, $40 a piece. You could buy both of them for the same price that you're going to be paying for one on Switch 2.
Well, good thing Legends EA, there's not a second version, so you're just getting all in one, baby. All in one. But it's insane to think about it because, like, I go like $20, jumping from 60 to 20, probably won't stop me from playing a lot of the games that I play. But what that can stop me from is some of the other games that I bought that I wasn't even really comfortable at 60, like Princess Peach Showtime. Bought it, wasn't comfortable with it at 60, played it, regretted the purchase. It was not worth $60.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be less likely to take risks like that at 80.
Mm-hmm.
I just am. It's gonna be, unless Nintendo sends me a copy, and thank you, Nintendo, if you do. I guess you'll save me money. But I don't want to take risk. I'm only gonna buy the surefire things that are worth it. So the Zeldas, the Marios, the Mario Karts, probably the Pikmin, if they're the Pikmin up there. Although Pikmin might be one that they do at 70. I don't know. That's not really evergreen. But it's gonna be the games I know that no matter what, I'm going to get my value out of this. You know, Mario Kart, I will tell you right now, I'm probably gonna get it over 1,000 hours
Mhm.
on Switch 2
Yeah.
in that over the lifetime. Come on, $80 for that amount of entertainment? Are you kidding me? That's insane. Like it's one of the greatest deals there is. Or $80 for that?
And again, reminder: we paid $60 for a port 7 years ago.
Yeah. So I will say that like it'll just make me not want to try new things. Like like the Drive X Drive. We don't have a price for that yet. That new game they showed. That
That's gonna be
basketball.
tough. That's gonna be tough.
What if that's 80? I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I'm willing to spend 80 to try it. And the thing is, I might love it. I actually might love the game, but I'm not. If one of you guys buy it, want to join my family group and lend it to me, I'll try it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's all share Mario Kart.
Here's my thoughts
One
on
copy around each of
One copy.
$10 each. Hey, that's a pretty good deal.
Mario. There you go.
Here are my thoughts on the pricing of the games for Switch 2. The $70 price point, not a surprise at all. I think we all should have expected that. I don't know why we wouldn't expect that, considering this is the newest next-gen console. We have Xbox and Sony charging $70 for first party and new exclusives. We know based off of leaks and rumors that this was going to be a much more premium and high performance machine. With that comes day and date AAA ports. Now, if I think of Doom: The Dark Ages, obviously that didn't get confirmed, but let's just say it does launch on the Switch 2, and it looks just as good as Series S. Why are they going to charge $10 less for the Switch 2 version? What is it going to be? Just third party games are more expensive? If we're getting the third the finale to the Final Fantasy VII Remake series, is the Switch 2 version going to be cheaper and you get it portably and it looks just as good as Series S? Like I was fully expecting $70. Now, I do agree with Eric as far as the $80 price point. That's brutal. That, like, to me, that feels rough and it feels arbitrary. And here's my issue with it. It's expensive, and there's no doubt in my mind that Mario Kart World will be worth $80. I'm sure it'll be worth way more that to me. Stash made a good point earlier about, like, we don't know what Mario Kart World entails. Maybe there's how Splatoon, added maps and weapons. Maybe they're going to add new regions to the map, and it's like this growing huge landscape that's getting bigger, and they're adding Hyrule Kingdom in there. You could drive from part of the Mushroom Kingdom to Hyrule. Like, there's a lot of really cool stuff they could do. That's all speculative. I feel
this
like
guy's living in the future.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the biggest misstep here is that Nintendo, I feel, made a mistake by not kind of diving into this in the direct and showing a little bit more transparency and giving the opportunity to be like, hey, this is what Switch 2 games cost. On special certain occasions like Tears of the Kingdom, there may be titles that are priced slightly higher. The reason for this is A, B, and C. The reason why Mario Kart World costs more is because of A, B, and C. That softens the blow. Even if they're saying, like, hey, with new hardware comes increased cost of development, and we want to make sure we take care of our teams.
Yeah.
Like, they could have said so many different things and informed us. And by not disclosing that in the direct, I know it's a tough thing to get right, but without doing it, it led to, like, panic and people seeing articles with the wrong price points and $90 physical and just an absolute frenzy of, like, negative news. And a lot of it turned out to not even be true. But I think that was the biggest misstep. And that being said, 70 makes sense. It's a next gen console. Yeah, it's more expensive. Yeah, it does sting a little bit, but that's, like you said, Sony was probably going to jump to 80 with the PS6. I'm sure Microsoft was planning on jumping with 80 down the road. I think the bigger part, the 70's fine. I think the bigger part's the $80 and not getting that reasoning behind it, not getting that clear explanation. So we're kind of all sitting here accepting that it's $80, expecting there's a reason for it, but having no idea what that reason is. And I'm sure people in the audience are wondering, but why? So I think that's something that's just a misstep from Nintendo in the direct of that clear, transparent, information give to the consumer.
All right. So before we get to stash, I want to get this $50 super chat up. He says the Mario Kart World price. This comes from Taker 610. Says going over like a $700 PS5 Pro without a stand. I thought we were watching a Neo Geo Direct with a $200 VHS size cartridges.
Yeah.
Happy Switch 2 Day. I'll be getting Prime 1 to prep for Prime 4 since 2 and 3. ... Obviously, they're not here, and they're not on the NSO app either yet.
No, crazy.
Yeah, because we do have GameCube on NSO, so at least one of them we could. Three's a Wii games. I don't know if they would try to squeeze that into the GameCube one. Anyways, we'll get to some more super chats in a little bit, guys. Let's get stash. What are we thinking on these game prices? You're a collector on top, so like,
Yeah. So I don't know if there's much reason to continue buying physical, which is okay. This is something that I think any like physical game collector has been or should have been mentally preparing themselves for. Like this day was coming. We're a dying breed. We are. Like we're getting older. We're all getting older. The youth does not care about the physical games. You can talk physical games all you want. Talk about the value.
I volunteer to inherit your collection whenever you touch it.
Oh yeah, yeah. The young kids just they don't really gravitate towards physical media, so that's on its way out. I didn't think Nintendo would be like the first ones to kind of push us in that direction, but nonetheless, they are, and that's okay. That's part of life. These things happen. It's not a big deal in the grand scheme of life. It really isn't, because we're talking about video games, right? This is something that we all really enjoy, but this is not. It's not the end of the world, certainly. As far as prices, man, they're all across the board, right? Like Street Fighter 6 is $60, and it comes with seasons 1 and 2 DLC.
Yeah,
that's a great deal. So,
no one's talking about that, by the way.
No, nobody is.
Better deal than the other versions.
They're just focusing on the negative as usual.
They could have literally taken advantage of Nintendo's $80 price point, and they said, "No, we're doing."
Yeah. I do want to share something. I did hear from someone who works at Nintendo of America that all of the pricing of this console and the games was not shared with anyone, even at Nintendo of America, until today, which is why it's not included in the Direct. And so, if they didn't know, no way Capcom knew what they were going to be charging for these games.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. Thanks for sharing that. Bravely Default, $40.
Good, that's good, man.
$40. So again, like the price,
I would have flipped the table if they charged $80 for Bravely Default.
But the pricing is just like it's all across the board, right? And look, I'm really old school with my finances, and I've seen some people get upset with the way I do my finances, but I worked in finance, and so I don't really care because I've seen the United States credit reports. I know how bad it is. It's ugly. It really is. Like I've seen it, and I'm just saying, like I know deep dark secrets of how people spend. So my point is that my approach may be super old school, but like this is literally how I was brought up and raised. And I started working as soon as I could. Got a job when I was 12, making $10 an hour in the 90s.
That's a lot of money, man.
Refereeing basketball games.
$10 an hour.
A ton of money back then. Yeah. And it was obviously tax-free because it was illegal to work at that age.
Yeah.
It was great. Under the table payments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look, we all kind of touched on it a little bit. You guys did. And I brought this up in some of my reviews, and I, sometimes on YouTube, people will just have a fit over this. And again, I don't understand the logic, but I also understand that a lot of people don't understand money in this country. Mm-hmm. So you look at it this way. Okay. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Absolutely love this game. Love it. Love it. I put in at least 250 hours into the game. Might have been a little bit more. I'd have to look at my PlayStation. Okay. I spent $69.99, so it came to $75 with tax. Now, that amounts to 30 cents an hour for entertainment.
Yep.
Now, let's take something else, like an evergreen title like Mario Kart. Okay. Nate, I think you threw out that you'd play it for 1,000 hours easy.
Yeah.
And I know that's the norm actually for a game that's evergreen like this. But let's just say like 500 hours, okay? 500 hours at the $80 price tag is 16 cents an hour. 16 cents for your entertainment. Now, how much does it cost to go out to the movies? How much does it cost, Nate, to take the kids out?
Oh my God.
A lot of money.
So much.
It's a lot.
I don't take them out very often.
Yeah, that's the price. Oh my God. Like literally, it's insane
Yeah.
now.
For
And it's
me
a
to go
movie.
If I
for
take
me to
them
go to
out,
the movie with go ahead, Nate.
I was gonna say if all five of us, me, my fiance, and 3 kids go out, it's bare minimum. We're dropping like 120 at the restaurant minimum.
That's what I'm saying. And like, people get really upset though when the price of video games goes up because they think it's always supposed to stay the same. Movie prices have went up. Have the quality of movies gotten better? No, they've gotten worse.
Mm-hmm.
They've gotten worse. Totally. They just keep remaking shit. And now, obviously, the game industry does that too. But at least I'm getting like, to get 250 hours out of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I know other people play an insane amount of hours in their games. Insane. Way more than that. And again, this is like just basic math, basic logic as well. If you look at the price of how much it costs to go out to the movies versus the price of playing Mario Kart for 8 years, you can go to a movie for an hour and a half and the movie might suck. For real, it might not even be good.
Yeah.
We're not even factoring in that you got to drive to the movie theater. You got to drive back. There's the cost of gas. There's the cost of time too.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has a cost to it in life. Everything you do. Every step counts, literally. So why is it such a big deal now that they want to charge $80 for a game that if Switch 2 lasts for 8 years, you're going to play for 8 years. It's going to get updates. There's going to be more stuff at it. I saw a tweet already earlier today. Someone went through the trailer and counted 15 cups in the game right now alone. That's a lot of cups.
It's a lot.
I still remember Super Mario Kart on Super Nintendo and how many cups we got in the beginning. How about Mario Kart 64? How many cups do we have, guys? Was it 4 cups?
Yeah.
16 tracks?
Yep. Back in the day. Yeah. Pretty much back before Mario Kart 8.
So someone counted 15 cups already. 60 tracks. I'm just saying, like, this is not a big deal. Now, I do get the concern about the other games, right? Like, hey, are the other games going to be worth how much, Steve? Right? And hey, look, they might not be, right? It's up to you. You have to determine if the juice is worth the squeeze. Is $80 worth it to you for Kirby? Look, it's $59.99 regular price. They're charging 20 more, and it looks like they're including something similar to maybe a Bowser's Fury expansion. Is that worth $20 more to you?
It is if it's like Bowser's Fury.
Yeah, everyone
Right.
would have paid
If it
20
is.
bucks for
But
Bowser's
again,
Fury,
we don't know because
No,
it's too early. We
Yeah.
did was see a 1-hour presentation, and we're literally ready to judge the console today and give it a final grade. That's what it seems like across the internet, which is silly. Nobody's even played this thing yet.
Yep.
We need to see it in person. The videos we've seen is through YouTube compression and the live stream. And the live stream was choppy. You know, there's so much that we don't know yet. And again, there's ways to save money. If you want to invest into NSO. Like if you don't have it, obviously these updates aren't free. You have to have NSO to get the Zelda update, Tears of the Kingdom, and to get the Breath of the Wild update for free. That's how you get it for free, by having a membership. But if you buy into it, it's worth it.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's-
mean? Like there's ways to save money, right?
Yeah. And
You just
Stash,
have to be smart.
I'm glad you made the movie theater point, because I do think that's a really great point. It's one that I've made to people in the past when, you know, games went up to 70 on the other platforms. I mean, for me and my family, it's $100 to go see a movie. And like you said, it's an hour and a half of entertainment. You might not like the movie, you know. Kids want snacks and stuff like that, and drinks, you know, goes up from there.
And what happens if
I
they
think
really
that,
like the movie, Game Bird?
yeah,
Then
it's
what?
still
Then do they want to own it as soon as it comes out now too?
yeah, yep,
It just got more
absolutely.
expensive.
So I do think it's a great point. I think the tougher pill, and like I said, I think the 70 makes so much sense. I think that's, people should have expected that. I can't imagine being shocked that games will cost 70. I think the wide array of pricing is causing the confusion. That's where I think Nintendo stepping in and like kind of giving a statement like, oh, here's why the pricing is the way it is, would be beneficial, and hopefully give some peace to the frantic minds right now.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought
I think
that up.
yeah, and I think the other part of it too that's probably a tough one for people is, we know that Mario Kart is the launch game. That's the day one game that everyone's going to buy, and it's that premium price tag on the launch game with a console that I think a lot of people thought would be cheaper than it is. I think the price point is totally fair, and like I said earlier, even though I have some issues with the way this information kind of fell onto the public, I have no doubt in my mind that Mario Kart's not going to be worth $80. And I would not be surprised if they incorporate that Splatoon style, like free updates, whether it's, you know, they add some characters or courses, or maybe even some new items. That's something that they haven't really done so much of in Mario Kart. But yeah, I think Nintendo just needs to, you know, get in front of it and be like, hey, you know, we hear you. Here's why it is what it is. And this is why, like, it's a good thing.
I agree. And like, look, guys, I would imagine that all of us on camera right now probably believe that the communication on things like pricing of the games and the console, all poor execution, right? I think we all probably value transparency. At any stage in our life, we want transparency, right?
Mhm.
No bullshit. Just tell me what's up. They clearly didn't do that. I'm sure there was a reason for it, but whatever reason it is, we don't know really what the actual true reason's probably going to be. We can only surmise that it's the price, right? Because it's all across the board, and it's a tough pill to swallow, right? Like that's all we can really probably surmise from this. But you know, there should be some sort of standardization in pricing, I feel like, and there's not when there's a $40 game and an $80 game.
Yeah.
It's not something we've ever seen before. But again, like it's all about if it's worth it to you. Like last year I reviewed Contra Operation Galuga on Switch and PS5. It's a $40 game, and you can finish the game in about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Did I have a great time? Yes. Is there extra content to do? Yes. And it'll maybe bring it up to 8 to 10 hours. Is that worth it to you? Do you like Contra that much? If you don't, if you sort of like it, wait till it's 20. But again, you have to determine if you want to pay that price on launch day when the game comes out. If it's Ubisoft, wait a couple months, you'll get it cheaper.
I also wonder if, and this might be hopium, but what if this price point also means Nintendo might do sales more often? especially on the digital version.
Okay, I thought that too. Like, I feel like the price not only of their games but of their console, like they priced it higher to actually build in a price drop for this generation
Yeah.
as
I thought
opposed to
about that
last
with
generation.
I thought about that with the console. I didn't think about it with the games, but that is a possibility. And that would be neat, you know.
Okay.
Bring back Nintendo Selects for, you know, games have been out for a couple of years.
At 59
So, we're gonna move on from the pricing because I think we've kind of said our piece. Eric, what?
I got one thing that'll help transition, and I'm guessing we're going into games next,
Nope,
right?
we're
No?
not.
Okay. But I just one thing real quick. That might help too. I know you said something about, you might not be able to take chances, as many chances at $80 as what you would, at 60. Do you think that this 80 price point will lead to more demos?
I hope there's a demo for almost every game. I always want demos. I think game demos are they should always exist. Do I think Nintendo will do more of them? No, actually, because of the digital game share. I think they'll just say borrow it from a friend.
True.
Well, Nintendo actually has been pretty good at demos recently. I mean, Peach Showtime had a demo. Pikmin 4 had a demo.
Tears of the Kingdom didn't.
Tears of the Kingdom.
That's
What
what
would that
They're
even
big-
been?
No, they're big games. No, I don't.
Yeah.
What?
That's a fair point, yeah.
I mean,
Unless they do the best demos are
would
the
have been. It would have just been the tutorial island.
Yeah. I was
That's a
about
lot
to
of
say
content.
the best demos are the ones Square does this a lot now.
Carry over, yeah.
You got it with Metaphor when it lets you carry over your save data.
Yeah,
You
just
do the
carry
demo, it's like the first hour or two of the game and it carries over.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and some games, even though like it's kind of like the full game, it just cuts you off after 2 hours.
Yeah.
But then you can keep your save, so you can just bring it into the full game if you want to continue.